I do have to admit I struggled a little bit with this one when it was revealed that Conrad hadn't exactly told her the exact truth of his conversation with Jer. Honest to God, when we first saw the scene in episode 1, it hadn't even crossed my mind that he would go to Jer to ask his permission or blessing or whatever. I thought he was just like observing Jer or talking to his mom or something. And you know what? He could have done that. He didn't have to go to his brother to ask permission to date a girl. But he did it because he respects and loves both of them. Because before that, Conrad hadn't done anything wrong. He didn't know Jeremiah had kissed Belly before he kissed Belly. He didn't know Jeremiah had feelings for her. First of all, Conrad did not say Jeremiah was completely fine with it. He said that Jeremiah was going on dates, which he was, that he was riding high from getting Homecoming King, which he was, and that he thinks he's over it. He didn't say he knew he was over it. And maybe he thought he was because Jer had given him his blessing. So, no, while I don't like that he didn't tell the complete truth, none of what he said was a lie. And as for Belly, she wanted to be with Conrad. It wasn't going to take much about Jeremiah to get her to take the plunge and finally be with Conrad. And we know now, had she known the full truth, the only thing that would have changed is that she would have jumped into his arms faster. Also, this was Conrad doing something that made him happy for fucking once. And y'all are acting like he completely went behind Jeremiah's back. Might I add, the same thing Jeremiah's doing to Conrad right now. Jeremiah completely manipulated his way to Belly in the first season. Jeremiah saw them almost kissing, realizing they both have feelings for each other. His first instinct was to shoot a firework at them. His next instinct was to manipulate a way for them not to spend any time together, and then basically go in for the kill with Belly after he found out his manipulation worked. And when he knew that Belly was upset with Conrad. Not to mention the manipulating that was happening in the video attached to this. So, if y'all don't have a problem with everything Jeremiah's done, then I don't know why Conrad reiterating his feelings to Belly after he got Jeremiah's permission would be a problem for y'all either. Granted, all of this is up to Belly whether or not she wants to be upset. But since she found out about Conrad, I feel like she deserves to know about what Jeremiah did too. But that won't happen because he's gonna keep that a secret. So Jer fans are constantly at me, saying that Conrad is the one always playing with her feelings, and that he's the one who's manipulating her. So, let's go through the whole series. One thing about me is that in the first 3 episodes of the series, I wasn't team anyone. I didn't really like how Conrad was acting myself, and with Jer, I just got platonic bestie vibes. First things first, I feel like I just need to say that almost every single character in the first episode acknowledged that Conrad is not himself. In the flashbacks we see support that, like he was such a sweet guy. So we know something's going on with him. That being said, I don't like in the first episode how he spoke about the Deb stuff. Like he's allowed to have his own opinion about that, but the way he was talking about it to Belly was kind of like making her feel bad if she accepts it later. And then he calls her brat about it when she brings it up later in front of Nicole. And in the second episode we have the singular instance where he sort of plays with Belly's feelings. Mind you, Jeremiah goes along with this. So, he grabs the boys and they go to the drive-in and crash Belly's first date. He's kind of struggling with jealousy and wondering where it's coming from. And he knows Belly has feelings for her, so he kind of shows up like, hey, I'm still here, what are you doing? And she calls him the fuck out for it later. As she should, I mean, she eats him up. And you know what? He listens to her. He doesn't pull anything like that again. And in the third episode, I don't love how he didn't give her the birthday present. But I do think he was struggling with being so aware of his feelings for her now, and probably not wanting to lead her on because he didn't know what to do. And I also think he just didn't want to give her something that personal in front of the entire family. And in episode 4 was where I really started to love him. And where Jeremiah's inferiority complex starts to make itself known. Like, it's actually fucking scary how his first instinct at feeling jealous, seeing them, is to shoot a fucking firework towards them. And in episode 5, yes, Conrad kind of does go back and forth again. Like, at the beginning, he was so happy Like, he was so excited to see her, and he kind of finally wants to start something with her. But then he talks to Cleveland, and he feels like he doesn't get to have something that makes him happy while his mom is struggling. And yeah, this hurts Belly, and he feels awful for that. But we have to remember, these are fucking teenagers. They don't know how to deal with complex feelings, but everybody expects Conrad to be perfect. But meanwhile, Jeremiah spends the whole episode trying to sabotage anything that may happen between Conrad and Belly. And then in episode 6, Conrad spends like the entire time trying to apologize and trying to fix how he made Belly feel. And every time he does, Belly just kind of runs away. And then in episode 7, even though he's hurt, he's like, hey, I respect your decision. And then at the end, finally tells her how much he wants her. Can we talk about Belly's insecurities? Like, where did they originate? Why is she so completely convinced that Conrad could never, ever love her the way that she loves him? I got to thinking about this because I just found myself not really looking forward to the new episode tomorrow night. Just because it's gonna be like the beginning of Belly and Jeremiah. And the little jabs Belly has been taking at Conrad, especially in the last episode, get me really sad for him. The way his face just falls, especially when he was asking about junior mint and she's like, I'm not 13 anymore. And she seems to think those little jabs won't hurt him. Like, I realize what she's doing. She's trying not to get hurt again, and she's gonna choose Jeremiah because he's the easy choice. Her feelings aren't as involved with him. And there was a little foreshadowing in something that she said to Conrad when they were having their phone conversations. If my dad had cheated on my mom, she probably wouldn't have even cared. Like, why would Miss Jenny Han throw that random line about her parents in there? We know Jeremiah cheats on her in the books, and she's able to forgive him very easily. And why is that? Because she's not in love with him. She never has been, and she never will be. Her heart isn't on the line with him. And she doesn't entirely trust Conrad's feelings about her. And I will say, Conrad didn't entirely assuage her insecurities. I mean, he did, but he didn't. Like, he did say, you were it for me. He said, we're infinite. But we don't know if he ever said, I love you. And in the books, him saying I love you is like a big thing. Like in book 3, she's like, oh my god, he finally said it after all this time. And then there was the whole funeral incidents where they were hurting each other, and he said it was a mistake. But yeah, did Laurel give her these insecurities? Like, they've never had the best mother-daughter relationship. Laurel hasn't been entirely encouraging of Belly. But the fact that she was worried about starting something up with Conrad because she didn't want to hurt Jer when they had only kissed. But she's going to start something up with Jer when she had been with Conrad for months. Just tells me that she's really insecure, and or she wants to hurt him too.